Hi everyone, so today we're going to be reviewing the three Bandaged Cubes from ZCube, Bandaged Cube A, Bandaged Cube B, and Bandaged Cube C. So let's start with some basic information about all of the cubes. All of the cubes cost $6 on CubeCZ, or £4.50. They all turn with the same quality, so we can go over the turning for all three at the same time. The turning is pretty good, about as good as a decent budget 3x3. All of them are just a 3x3 with tiles that bandage the cube. You can see the original 3x3 if you take off some of the tiles. The tiles have a glossy, slippery feel that fades out over time to a more standard matte feel. So overall, the hardware on these cubes is pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a short review on all of these cubes, and then give a general overview at the end. Bandaged Cube A has a 2x2x2 block that is bandaged, so you can't turn three sides at all, and the other three sides you can turn as much as you want. The solve of this cube is pretty easy. If you can solve a 3x3 and can think a bit intuitively, you will probably be able to solve this cube. The F2L is just making pairs, then putting them in differently than usual. Doing the middle pair last is the best way to go. The last layer is just normal. You just have to only use algorithms that work with the available moves. It's a decent solve. Simple, but you'll probably solve it a good amount, because it's a familiar 3x3 solve, but with a unique, interesting aspect that will make you think a little bit. Another point about this cube is that it's easy to scramble, which can't really be said about the other cubes. Okay, so now we've got Bandaged Cube B and Bandaged Cube C left to do. We're doing C. Bandaged Cube C has three 2x2x1 blocks that are bandaged. You can move them around a bit, but they contain a centerpiece, so they can only stay on their side. Now this cube is a lot harder to solve than I thought it would be. You can solve a good amount of the cube intuitively, so I thought the rest would be pretty easy with the tutorial, but it wasn't. However, saying that, it's not a super hard solve. There's just not really a good tutorial out there for this cube. Anyway, I do quite enjoy solving this cube, and you will probably enjoy solving it if you get it. It's a good mix between intuitive and algorithmic solving, and it also doesn't take too long to solve. Bandaged Cube C is really unique. You solve things in an order and a method that is not similar to any other cubes. This cube is pretty annoying to scramble, but it's not a huge issue. You just have to think a bit about how the cube turns to make sure everything gets scrambled. Maybe you like that because it's an extra aspect of the cube, or maybe you hate it. Or maybe you don't care at all and think I should stop talking about this and move on to Bandaged Cube B. Well, if you do think that, I've got some good news for you. Bandaged Cube B is probably the hardest out of all of these cubes. However, there is an amazing tutorial from 10 years ago which helped me learn this cube way faster than I learned Bandaged Cube C. The solve is very algorithmic, with basically all of the solve just being algorithms. It is really satisfying to solve though, despite just being basically two sets of moves repeated over and over again. I don't really solve this cube very often, and I don't think many people would, as it just gets boring after the first couple of times. Whenever I do solve this cube though, I will use a scramble from this website that's linked in the description. Scrambling this cube is very annoying, so having a load of scrambles that work is very helpful. Okay, so now we can talk about the cubes overall and compare them. I would say that Bandaged Cube C is probably the best one. It is definitely the one I solved the most, as it is interesting and a good challenge. I would say it's easier than Bandaged Cube B, but not by a lot. I would definitely recommend Bandaged Cube C to the majority of cubers. Bandaged Cube A is a weird one. It is by far the easiest out of the three, and you will probably solve it a lot if you get it, but you can do it with a normal 3x3. Just only do F, R and U moves, and there you go, Bandaged Cube A. However, I do understand that that's simplifying the issue, and that just imagining you have Bandaged Cube A is not ideal. So, I would say definitely get Bandaged Cube A if you are collecting cubes, or you just want the complete set of Bandaged Cubes. If you are just getting it to solve it, I would consider whether having the physical cube is worth it. Okay, time for Bandaged Cube B. Why am I always doing B last? Anyway, you should get Bandaged Cube B if you don't mind an algorithmic solve, or want to see how much you can do intuitively, which is pretty good fun. However, if you prefer an intuitive side to a solve, rather than an algorithmic one, I probably wouldn't recommend getting this cube. So, which Bandaged Cube is best? Well, Bandaged Cube C, but they are all very good options and very good cubes.